Hello everyone, welcome back once again to the kitchen. Today on what is now being called Get Cookin', because I do like that closing title line better than Get Out of the Kitchen. So now this is going to be, instead of being called Cooking with Rev, it's going to be called Get Cooking with Rev. So I'm your host. So if I have other people come on and cook a meal one day, then it'll be Get Cooking with whoever. But for right now it's Get Cooking with Rev. So today it's lunchtime again, or actually it's closer to dinner, but I'm not making a huge meal tonight. We still got plenty of leftovers in the fridge that we need to finish up. So I'm just going to make something light for myself just because I don't want to burn through all that stuff too quickly, because it does have to last until my next pay period, which will be about another week before I have more money coming in to where I can buy more stuff to go grocery shopping. So I'm trying to make that stuff last, so right now just going to make a quick and easy lunch for dinner. So what are we making today? Quesadillas. Why quesadillas? Everyone should know how to make a quesadilla. Well, there's some people out there who don't know, and since I mentioned it on the previous episode with the taco bake, figured I'd show you guys. So I'm going to show you how to make a chicken cheese quesadilla. So let's flip the camera around and I'll show you what you need for this recipe. Okay, so if you followed my recipe from the other day when we made the sweet and sour chicken, I didn't use the full bag, so there's exactly 2 breasts left in here. We need 1. So if you followed my instructions to the T and didn't use up all your chicken breasts, then use one of the chicken breasts. If you've already used them in something else, well, then you're going to have to go buy another bag. If you did use them all in the sweet and sour chicken, well, good for you, but you're still going to need 1. Second item, you're going to need our last 2 tortillas from the taco bake that we made yesterday, or the day before, whichever day it was. And hopefully we have enough what's left of our mild cheddar cheese or your taco blend, whatever you have laying around. I got just about enough for 1 quesadilla, so that's what I'm going to make. Alright, so over here on the stove we've got our pan heating up. Again, medium-high heat. Just going to let that heat up for a minute. We're going to get our chicken in there, get it cooking, and we'll show you what the next step is after that. Alright kids, our pan is pretty well heated. We got our 1 chicken breast here. There's 2 in the pack. I've picked the smaller one because I don't need a whole lot for this. As you can see, it is still frozen, so we're just going to place it right in the pan. Frozen, nothing else to it. As that defrosts and melts, the water is going to pool in the bottom. That'll actually keep it from sticking. And if you want to add like a teaspoon of butter or something in there just for the flavor, you can. So I'm just going to put a lid on this and let it heat. The lid allows it to steam better, lets it cook evenly on both sides, and yeah, be nice gray in a second instead of that delicious pink color, or salmon color, whatever the hell color you call that. So once this is done up, we'll be back. Okay guys, so it's been a couple minutes. I did turn my temperature down just slightly, but it's down to like a medium now instead of a medium high. So as you can see through the pan there, without the lid, it has turned white. Ignore these little bubbles, they always bug the hell out of me, but they're just fat that rendered out of the chicken. So you're going to use a fork. As you can see, you can actually stick your fork through it now. You just want to give it a turn over. You can see that side is starting to brown a little bit. Now would be the time where I would add in some butter because this has cooked out most of the fluid that's inside of it. So I'm just going to take a forkful of my butter, like so, right into the pan. Let that melt around there. And we're just going to put the lid back on and let that continue to cook. Alright guys, so I've turned it a couple times since we added the butter. As you can see, it is starting to brown up on each side. Just kind of want to give it a quick look. So it's starting to brown up on that side. I just flipped it a second ago. So we're going to let that side cook just a little bit longer. And then we're going to take it out and cut it up. And we'll go from there. Alright, so it's been about another minute here. Let's take a quick flip and look. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Now very carefully, your fork can go all the way through it, which means it is thawed in the center. Now very carefully pick it up on your fork. Let those little driplets drip off. Now we're going to come over here to our cutting board. Alright, so here we have our cooked chicken breast. Now we're just going to cut it up into small pieces. Try to anyway. Like so. Now you see that one's a little bit pink in the middle, so after we cut these up we're going to throw them all back in the frying pan for a couple minutes, which is why we haven't turned our frying pan off yet. Oh, this side's just shredding apart. What the hell? So you just want bite-sized pieces like so. Kind of figured it wasn't quite done, but I don't want it to get too burnt. So just take it out, cut it up. You don't want to shred it, just cut it very thin. About like that should do. Okay, now that we got that all cut up, you can cut these ones lengthwise if you want. Just do slightly smaller pieces, like so. That looks pretty good. Now these all go right back into the frying pan. Okay, so one more thing is you do want to turn your temperature down because this pan was sitting hot with nothing in it for a few minutes. So turn your temperature down. I had mine at 5. Turn it down to about 3 or medium low. As you can see, they are starting to char up a bit. So you just want to give them a small flip. You just want to kind of flip them over, get them cooked evenly on each side. Very carefully. Just kind of give them a turn. Don't burn yourself. There is a spatula. If you have a spatula, just kind of pick them up, flip them over. But these are getting close to done. So just another minute or so and these will be ready to come off, and then we'll move on to actually making the quesadilla. Okay, so as you can see, these have browned up on both sides. I think they're pretty good. They are going to cook a little bit more inside the quesadilla, so don't panic too much about things being undercooked. I think they're fine. So we're going to get these out of here and onto a plate, and then I'll show you how to start up your quesadilla. Now, of course, this is only if you want to make a chicken quesadilla. If you want to make one with just cheese, then you could have skipped over all of this and just gone right on to the next step. Maybe I'll put a jump point into the video. Now, we're going to set this one on the back burner. I'm actually going to switch over to my larger frying pan, just in case you want to see the difference in sizes. There you go, quite a bit bigger. This one actually can hold the proper quesadillas, proper size tortilla shells, I should say, not quesadillas. The other one just kind of set aside to let cool. Turn your temperature back up to about a medium. And we're just going to let this pan heat up for a bit. Once the pan's at temperature, then we'll get on to finally making the quesadilla. Okay, our pan is just about up to temperature. I can feel the heat about this high up as I move my hand away from it. So that means it's about at temperature. Now what you want to do is take one of our leftover flour tortillas and just drop it right into the bottom of the pan. No butter, nothing. You don't want it all gooey, you just want it there. Now, as you can see, that is a proper size skillet for the tortilla shell, which is why I wanted to go up to that size. Now we're just going to put our cheese in here. For those of you who don't know what a quesadilla is, it's basically melted cheese between the inside of a tortilla shell. So that's all the cheese I have, unfortunately. So you just want to give that a nice even spread around, where it's kind of covering everything. Normally you would want a little bit better coverage than that. And we're going to sprinkle in our chicken. Might actually be a bit too much chicken for one quesadilla, but that's alright. We'll make do. So get all that spread in evenly. And now we're going to place our other tortilla right on top of that and give it a nice little press down. Now you're just going to let it cook. Now, as I was saying the other day with the taco bake, is if you want to toast your tortillas ahead of time so they have a little bit more of a crispiness and a crunch to them, instead of all the cheese and everything that I just put in here, just put the tortilla down in the pan. Just kind of watch it a little bit. You can go with like a slightly lower temperature. It'll toast on the one side, then you just flip it over to the other side, and you'll see how that looks as I flip this over, because we are going to flip it in a minute. And then once both sides are toasted, then you can lay them down in your pan for the taco bake, and you'll see how those look in a minute. So we're just going to let this finish heating up. Normally if you're just using cheese and you have enough cheese, you can kind of feel it heat evenly through. You can feel the cheese kind of get gooey and smushy. That's kind of how you know when it's ready to be flipped. This one I might have a little bit of trouble because how thick the chicken is. As you can see, it's kind of ripping through there. I normally don't make chicken tortillas. You can also gently place your hand on it and give it a slight turn. That allows it to cook a little bit more evenly all the way around. So we're just going to let that finish heating up. Alright, so this has been heating for a little while. I'm giving it a little bit of turn. If you place your hand there and you can feel the heat coming through the 2 layers of tortilla plus the cheese, it's probably just about ready to be flipped. So I don't know if I can do this. What you really want to do is kind of get, especially with the bigger pans, get a hold of the 2 edges, kind of pick it up and flip it real quick. I'm going to attempt to just kind of flip it in the pan. I've only successfully done this once, so this could end up on the floor. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, that's toasted now. That's got some color to it. And now, like I said, if this was just the tortilla, not all the meat and cheese and everything, just the tortilla, you'd brown it on one side, flip it over like I just did, brown it on the other side. Then as you let them sit while you're mixing up your meat mixture for the taco bake, this will actually harden. You can hear it kind of has a crunch to it already. These will harden up a bit, and that'll actually give it a bit more, almost like a chip, but not quite as stiff as a chip. And it'll actually give you a little bit more of that crunch and texture that we were looking for in the taco bake that we added the chips and whatnot for. Okay, so we're going to let this finish heating. With certain tortillas, what you might notice is around the edge, the bottom tortilla is now slightly bigger than the one on top. They do shrink slightly as they heat. So what you'll do is watch this edge now, and as soon as that edge kind of pulls into where they're just about the same size, that's when you know that it's just about done and ready to be taken off. So we're going to let this heat for another minute or so, and then I'll show you guys the finished result. Alright, so as you guys can now see, most of that tortilla has pulled in. They're just about the same size on top and bottom now. So I'm going to give it one more flip and just make sure it's done on that side. Again, if you don't know how to flip like this, please do not try it. They can go wrong very easily. If the cheese isn't all the way melted and it's not holding the shells together and you flip it, one of the shells could roll up and then you got melted cheese all over the pan and your shell's all tucked under. Like that almost did. And now you can see that's kind of toasted, but the edges aren't quite as good. But it's still basically what we're looking for. So this is basically would not be your presentation side. But like I was saying, the flips can actually go wrong quite easily. I've actually had them go wrong several times on me. See, like there, it almost came apart. So all I'm going to do now is take a plate and just flip it out onto the plate. And as you can see, the whole shell kind of shifted off to the one side, which is what I didn't want. That's because there's not enough cheese on there to hold it together properly. Okay, so there I managed to pull it back together to where it looks halfway decent. Turn off your heat, and now we're going to cut it and we'll be ready to serve. Okay guys, so there you have it, as presentable as I can make it look. As you can see, it kind of shifted quite a bit, which is why you got to be careful when pulling the flips. So this would be your presented side because it's the nicer looking of the two. You're going to take your knife and you're just going to cut it into quarters very carefully. Like I said, even when I'm just got the cheese and the tortillas instead of all the chicken, it still tends to not flip if the cheese isn't fully melted properly. The more ingredients you put inside of it, like the chicken or peppers or anything like that, the less likely, that didn't make any sense, the less likely it will be to flip properly. So use the spatula. Don't try and be like me and flip it. As you can see, I almost messed it up and ruined the whole thing. So there we have it. Try and make it look nice for presentation. And I'm not the best at presenting, so there it is, our 4 slices of our chicken quesadilla. And that's how you make a quesadilla. Alright guys, so there you have it, the chicken quesadilla. As you can see, I got it here on my plate. Gonna take a bite of it, let you guys see me eat it, because I promised I was gonna start letting you guys do that. Sorry about the shaky hand cam, couldn't quite figure out a decent setup to have this positioned at the table here. I wasn't really happy with the way the last one looked from the distance. I think it was cropped real weird. But here we have our chicken quesadilla. Again, if you want to put a little bit of Ortega or something on this, or have it on the side to dip in, that's good too. But let's take a bite and see what we think. Could have used a little bit more cheese. I'm definitely getting a lot of the chicken. There was a big bite of it right there in the front. Yeah, if you want to shred your chicken up a little bit smaller or even season it a little bit, I didn't bother to season mine other than with the butter, so it's just kind of plain chicken. But yeah, if it would have had a little bit more cheese to coat it, it probably would have been okay. Since I didn't have much cheese, I did what I could. Like I said, there's probably way too much chicken on here for as much cheese as I had. But it's still a good quesadilla. So, like I said, most of you probably know how to make a quesadilla. It's not hard. It's 2 tortilla shells and some cheese. If you want to add chicken or something to it, you can. Only reason I basically showed you this is to show you how to toast the tortilla for the taco bake, because I didn't want to just toast up a tortilla yesterday and then just have it sit. And I didn't really want to do them in the recipe and then have something go wrong. So I figured it was safer just to make a whole new episode out of it and show this to you guys. So alright, so there you have it. That's it for this episode. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are down there in the description and in one of the upper corners. And until next time, get cooking.